Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB Bikini Pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today's guest is a posing coach who competed in her first show on her 18th birthday in 2016. She turned pro in 2019 at her 6th national show and joined Body by O in 2020 for her pro career. She has competed in, if I counted correctly, 18 pro shows. And in her most recent season, she really started to show out, placing in the top 3 to 6 at 3 of the 4 shows she did. And this athlete is often at NPC events and seminars, sharing her knowledge, supporting other athletes, posing. Welcome to the show, Hope Harper. How are you doing?
Hi, I am doing so good today. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so happy you're here. And I mean, it's been a long time coming. Feel like we've talked about this forever.
Yes,
And then
we have.
even last year, we got to finally, I believe last year at the women's
Yes,
workshop was the first time we met, unless there
yes,
was, it was okay. Cause I was like, there's so many fit events where I know we've probably been there.
yes.
But we got to meet there. And then now here we are a year later, we're recording. I'm so happy to have you. You are an incredibly genuine person, and I really enjoyed seeing you at the workshop last year. So, that being said, we'll dive in. And my first question for you is going to be what I ask everybody, which is if there is anything you do, think about, or maybe a ritual you have right before your heel hits the stage.
Yes. So definitely getting in the right mindset before I go out on stage. So I try and make my show day and show weekend super calm. Obviously, your body's going to perform the best when you're really calm and confident. But right before I get on stage, I actually say a little prayer. And I kind of give it to God, and I know that it's in His hands. You know, all the hard work is kind of done, all the training, cardio, cutting, posing, everything that we've done to kind of prepare for the show is done at that time. And it's really time for us to be confident, shine, and kind of let it be the way it's supposed to be. And the more confident we are out there, kind of the more that that's going to show to the judges and bring out our own personalities and confidence in that way.
And you know, even what you tell yourself before you get on stage, I think is what we need
Yes.
to also tell ourselves when we get off the stage,
Yes.
because that's such an important reminder.
Mhm.
When you're in the thick of like the emotion, sometimes after the show or right after, and you're like, oh, maybe you didn't get moved to the middle. Maybe
Yep.
you don't know where you landed. Or maybe you stumbled in your routine. Like to remember that the hard work's done,
Yep.
you did the best. It's that moment in time is over. But have you ever had times like that where maybe you didn't get the outcome you wanted, but you kept that perspective?
Yes, absolutely. But I definitely think that it's taken a lot of time and practice to kind of get into that rhythm of being okay with how the outcome became. So
Mm.
I think over the years, I'm super competitive, goal oriented. And so when I get on stage, I'm like, I want to win. And like, that's my main goal. But obviously, we're not going to win every show. We never do. But I think that it's definitely taken a lot of time and patience to get to the point where, like, when you do get on stage, say you bring your absolute best, but you don't get the placing that you want, but just realizing that it is okay and that it's a learning step for you and an experience where you can grow from that. And I think that that's super important.
Yeah, I would agree. And it's sometimes hard when you are a really competitive person because when you've been in this, you've been in this sport for a long time. You and I both started when we were 18. And
Yeah.
so you get to a point, I think, where you know it's not just for fun. It is fun and you love
Yes.
it, but you're also trying to experience a tangible success as well. So to be able to really give it to God and really trust that the outcome's what it's meant to be, what are some of the things that you do like day to day to support your mentality and be actually accepting of the outcome?
Being patient with myself, obviously knowing that changes aren't going to happen every single day, and trusting your coach really too, being able to give him all of your trust so that, or him or her, whoever it is, that they're going to get you to your best. And if you take care of yourself, follow the plan, take it day by day, check off the boxes, then it's going to happen the way it's supposed to. And really giving patience to yourself, I think, is really important. I think it's definitely taken a lot of time for me to get to that point. Because so initially, like when we first start competing, obviously, I think a lot of us have those high expectations of like, okay, I'm going to win my first place at a regional show, and then I'm going to go to nationals, and then I'm going to get my pro card, and then I'm going to be competitive at the pro level. But it really does not happen like that. It's always up and down motions, and your experiences are going to be totally different versus someone else. And not comparing yourself to others in social media or day to day at the gym, little things like that will kind of help you be successful in your own goals and creating goals that are attainable for you, for your lifestyle, what kind of um, goals that you want to have longevity wise too. And I think really being patient with everything and trusting yourself and everything that you're doing is going to really make you successful.
Yeah, that's really good advice, especially like you've been in this sport, like I said, for a long time, and you have not just been in here since 2016, but you've competed every single year, and that is a huge deal. I mean, most people are taking long improvement seasons or time off, or maybe they hit a personal snag and they need to take time away. So I'm curious for you how you've actually structured your seasons to support delivering on feedback and getting on stage year after year.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize that I've been on stage.
Every year.
Yeah, that is crazy. Now that you actually put it into perspective like that, I think having guidance with your coach is super important. Following that reverse diet, really making sure that you're structured in that. But I would say that I'm I like to listen to what the judges say and really understand what that they want from me as an athlete. I always want to improve, so being goal oriented in that sense. So I create goals for myself every year, and I try to obtain those as much as I can. Obviously, sometimes it's inevitable that we can't, but I would say that it's not easy, but being patient with yourself and knowing that if you take it day by day, listen to your coach's plan and create a plan for like the year, the improvement season, get to where you want to be, and then create those goals for the next upcoming years or months onto what you want to achieve. But I think that being patient with yourself and understanding where you need to grow is going to be super important. And knowing that if it takes a little bit longer or if you don't need as much time, then that's okay too. So just taking it like personal goals, like I'm obviously going to be a lot different than you're going to be for what we want to achieve and where we need to go. So I think having a coach that knows exactly where you need to build and how to do that is going to be super crucial as well.
Absolutely. I think if you don't have a coach who takes that into consideration, you're automatically setting yourself up for a harder time. Um, because if you have even goals outside of competing, okay, like you're setting these personal life goals too, and then let's say your coach isn't even aware of those, how can it be meshed and work as in unison. So
Absolutely.
for that example, how have you been able to, because let's be real, going from 18 to 28, like I was thinking about this last night. I was like, whoa, I am 10 years older than I was. And so much happens in our 20s. It's like that. The beginning is like, I am an adult, but not really. And then
Right?
you're, then you blink, you're 28, and you're like,
What?
I am a full grown adult. Like,
Yeah.
wow. So I feel like you just think differently, you experience life differently. So, how have you been able to also grow as a woman, as a person, while having these competition goals?
I believe that it would be mindset and the support that you have around you, and also who you surround yourself with. Being very structured in my routine has always kept me around supportive people, and not letting, negative people into your life that isn't really going to serve you in any way. Having to say no to people a lot and understanding that that's okay. I think it's very mature because it sets boundaries for yourself, on what you deserve and what you should surround yourself with. My coach, he is very supportive in every aspect of my life. We talk about day to day, prep, whatnot, our goals for that. But he's also a huge mentor in my life and has helped guide me into amazing opportunities in bodybuilding, but also in my career and school when I was in college, all of those things. And it's it's huge when you have that. My family is extremely supportive of me, and my mother travels with me to every show majority of the
Oh,
time because she loves to travel, but they just are so passionate about what I do as well. And I think that that's really important, and it helps build a lot of trust and communication and helps me be confident in what I'm doing when you have that trust there and that support. Um, I also feel like I'm very mature for my age. So I I don't party, I don't drink, I don't do anything like that. So like it's a different lifestyle. And I kind of, I go to work and I train, I meal prep, I have posing clients, and I kind of repeat that on the daily. And that's kind of my life. I don't do a lot, but it's kind of helped me become structured and be so successful in the things that I want to do.
absolutely. I have no doubt about that because to be a successful athlete, as well as a business owner, as well as an employee, as well as a family member, there has to be some level of structure in place. And the way that I see it is if your schedule and your structure of your day does not actually reflect who you want to be and who you want to become,
Yeah.
then that's kind of the proof is in the pudding. So you
Like,
could probably look back on the last 10 years of your life and go, every decision I made is why I'm here, and every decision I'm making now is why I'll be there. It's like our schedule is like a glimpse into our future in many ways.
yep,
And you've
absolutely.
chosen healthy habits, you've chosen healthy people. I love that you gave credit where credit's due too, because I don't think any of us, maybe some, but I think the majority of us are not self-made in this journey. I think a lot of
Absolutely.
us, it's support, it's connection, it's mentorship, and I was touched. You said your mom goes to all the shows. My mom is no longer here, but when she was alive, she came to every show with me, and
So special.
yeah, it was amazing. And so I am grateful for that. And
Absolutely.
I don't want to go on too much of a tangent about my self-hope, so forgive me if
Love that. Please
I,
do.
but the May 11th show, that's Mother's Day, that's the Pitts Power Fest.
Yeah.
Um, I'm so excited to compete in that because I get to step on stage and I feel like it's with her in honor,
Thank
like she's
her.
still, yeah.
Oh,
So,
I love that.
yeah, it makes me happy. And
So
just hearing
cute.
you say that made me think how,
That's
it really does make a difference to have people
Mhm.
support. I also like that your coach encouraged you while you were in college. I think some people have the belief that you have to give up all your other dreams to be successful in bodybuilding. You didn't, you haven't. You've continued to pursue a career, life outside of the sport. Did you ever feel like you had to give those things up?
I think at some point in time, yes. When I was first starting, I felt like I had to give everything to bodybuilding in order to be successful in that, because it does require a lot of dedication and time, as we know. Uh, but I think as I've competed longer and had more experience, I've become more okay with, balancing my life with things and knowing that, like, if it takes a little bit longer, that's okay. And I think it's good to balance your life with bodybuilding, so that you have those passions in two different avenues. I think another mentor that has really brought that into my mindset is Sandy. She is just a phenomenal, so positive, and I just absolutely adore her. She has seen me compete since I was, let's see, 19 or 20. She saw me compete at the Van Pro show in Vancouver, and we got to meet like on a personal level. And she's watched me grow and, evolve since then. And she's always been someone that's reminded me that it's okay to have balance and it's important to have balance in your life. So you have, whatever you are passionate wise about for your career, and your success in that, but also having balance with like your family and how you are with them if you are close with your family, as well as bodybuilding and being able to kind of balance all of that so that you can, be successful in many different avenues, except for relying on, one passion and maybe you're not successful in that at the time. And then, being hard on yourself or not being super positive in that mindset. So being able to create different avenues of success and positivity within your life.
I love that. It's like the same argument for having multiple streams of income,
Mhm.
except for skill sets as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think an overlooked piece of bodybuilding is the patience. It is the
It's so
time.
hard.
You described the younger version of you coming into the sport, much like all of us, going, well, this is the path to the pro card, and that's the path to the Olympia. Therefore, tick, tick, I'm there. It'll be
Yeah,
easy as that. I just
and
have to
like
show up.
that.
Yeah. I think I
Yeah.
remember like going into my first show, like, yeah, I'm just gonna, it'll be fine. And then
Yeah.
2018, I really thought that would be it. And now it's 2025, and I'm like, let's go, let's
Yeah.
keep going.
All these years later.
Exactly. So I want to go back to 18-year-old Hope. You were doing your first show, but what inspired you to do a prep in the first place? And were you immediately hooked after your first show, or did it take some time?
I was immediately hooked, that's for sure. So I grew up doing all-star competitive cheerleading, high school cheer, and collegiate cheer at the University of
Wow.
Nevada. So I was going to school full time and prepping full time and doing personal training on the side as well. So I've always kind of had a busy, structured life, but I think that's what's made me so successful is having so many different things to like keep me going. But obviously in that comes with like a little bit of burnout here and there. But we've come
Mm.
to balance it. It's okay now. We're good. But I think when I first started competing, I didn't know anything about bodybuilding. I would weight train. I would always train with my mom at the gym. She was one of my inspirations. I was always like, oh, I want to look like you when I grow up because she was so
Oh.
fit and cute and toned. But I think that when I was in high school, I was trying out for, getting ready to try out for collegiate cheer at the University of Nevada. And it's very competitive there. There's hundreds of athletes, and it was a big goal of mine to obtain. So I wanted to be in good shape for it. So I found a friend that, one of my mom's friends actually, that was a personal trainer at a local gym here, and his wife also competed. So he invited my mother and I to go watch his wife compete. And he kind of showed us and told us all about bodybuilding at that show. And I was like, wow, this is like really cool. This is awesome. And it was just a local show in town. Actually, no, it was a local show out in like California. So only like a couple hours from me. So we went and watched the show. It was super fun and exciting, and I absolutely loved it. Being able to watch all the athletes get on stage. Obviously it was brand new to me, so I was very like interested into it. So he asked if I wanted to be like one of his first bikini athletes and if I would be interested in doing a show. And I said, well, I mean, I have no idea what I'm getting myself into, so let's try it. And maybe it was like, for me, a backup in case I didn't make Nevada cheer. And it would also get me fit for tryouts. So started training with him 5 times a week. And then he kind of got me on a meal plan, got me a little bit like more toned because, when you're, 18, 19, you still have like that baby
Mm.
shape to you. But then a little bit more muscle maturity started coming as I was like weight training. And it was a little bit different than my all-star competitive cheer cardio that we would normally do. So I tried out for Nevada cheer and I made the team and I was super excited for that. But I started this passion, for weight training, and I loved that we could change the way that we looked so quickly, just by, cardio training and meal plan. And so I loved that. And I kind of started craving the way that, like, you could totally change the structure in your body composition within just a couple of months. And so he got me ready for a show. And then that's when I did my first show. And I placed first in teen and first in open. And then it kind of took off from there. And I absolutely loved it.
That's so awesome. I love that actually you started it to be better for cheer, but
Mhm.
also because you took interest in the show of it too, like the
Yeah.
competition aspect. And in looking at your stage photos, I mean, even back at 18, you had a lot of muscle. And so I was curious. I'm like, what was she doing prior to that? So hearing that you had the cheer background as well as 5 days a week of all that training too, it makes sense why you brought the package that you did. Are you a competitor looking to make mental gains and further your personal development? Are you struggling with the post show blues or feeling the pressure of prep? Maybe you're lost somewhere in the middle and not sure what's next. If you really want to make peace with food, your body, and your goals, then I highly recommend you check out my competitor card deck, which can be found at www.celestial.fit/cards. This is a free resource for competitors, and the deck includes 3 different series. One is affirmations and I am statements, another is the thought-provoking question prompts that you could journal on or just think about, and the last deck includes action steps with specific mentorship that is going to support you in those areas of which I just mentioned. So whether you're looking to feel better in your own skin, develop a healthier relationship with food, feel more motivated, connect deeply with yourself, or really get into your mindset to bring you closer to your goals, then these cards are for you, and I would love to see you utilizing them. Again, you can visit www.celestial.fit/cards to download yours right away. Now, did you always imagine yourself staying in bikini, or did you ever early on wonder like, oh, I want to be maybe more muscular in that division? And at the time of 2016, you were more muscular for bikini? So
Yeah.
that's what like kind of sparked me, and I was like, I wonder if she ever considered other divisions at the time.
No, I didn't. I really loved bikini, just like the way that we were able to pose. It was more feminine and we could be a little bit more like dancey on stage. And that's kind of what I vibed with a little bit better. I think that yes, I did have a lot of like muscle in my like very first show. I think that's because of all the cheer background. I started cheer when I was 10. So from like 10 on, I was a base. So I was
Oh,
always the
wow.
girls lifting all the others, and then all the tumbling and like gymnastics that creates a lot of muscle. And we did a lot of like intense workouts. So I think that that helped kind of create that muscle. And then training for my first show, you start creatine and like eating a lot better. So like my body just like craved it and it kind of took off from there.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Like, there's, it's just amazing to think how living an active lifestyle from a young age really contributed to that base that you had built. And not all youth sports can do that the way
Right.
gymnastics, dance, and cheer really can, at least from what I've seen.
Mhm.
And I played volleyball for years, so like my lower half was very developed.
Yes.
But like upper, I was like, I looked so small. So it's taken a lot to build this, but something like gymnastics, your whole body's being put
Yeah.
to use.
And especially being like a base for so long, I didn't want to be a flyer whatsoever. I wanted to like always be on the ground because I was like, I don't want to die or have someone drop me. And so I was like, I'd rather stay on the ground. And I don't care if the girl's bigger than me, I'll still lift them. So it was really fun for me. And it gave me a lot of opportunities to travel around and that kind of stuff too. So I really enjoyed that. But I think being a base, you're lifting people up. You're literally doing shoulder presses all the time.
With a
So
human body.
yes, but a human body, yeah. Um, so I think that definitely helped contribute to the muscle maturity that I did have up top. And then, as the years have gone on, we've just now kind of toned it in a little bit of a different way, isolating it, and it's been good. But I think quad development wise, I have a little bit more quads than I do like glutes and hamstrings because we're doing like squats, but it's like a different type. So I'm more quad dominant. And I've never really had to use like hamstrings and glutes isolated. So it's definitely taken some time to get those developed. But, we all have our areas where we need to grow and evolve.
For sure. Which, in the spirit of conversation here on that, what are you currently working on, and how does that compare to some of the progressions and feedback you've received over the years?
So I think over the years, it's kind of been hard. I've had to balance my upper body with my lower body a little bit and grow development wise. So I had like that like kind of like baby shape to me for a while. And then once we got that evolved and like more mature, I've had to become a little bit more leaner here and there. But then with that, you need to have a little bit more muscle. So it's been a balance. Every year we figure out what we need to do and grow. For a while there, it was just like overall, I just needed to be a little bit more muscular. And I'm okay with taking a longer route in that, just because I don't want to be too masculine.
Mhm.
And so I'm okay with taking a little bit longer if I have to. But right now it's just a little bit more glute density. Everything else is kind of looking good the way that it needs to look and balance from top to bottom. But I think just a little bit more glute density and we'll be there.
Awesome. So your goal is, of course, to get to the Olympia. I know this is your dream.
Yes.
What is it that you're doing now to get you to be qualified for the Olympia? Like, what's the strategy for you guys?
So obviously we just got out of our show in early December. So we're reversing out now. We're at maintenance calories. We're just keeping everything kind of in good number wise. So my health is really good. Everything is optimal. I work with Premier Alternative Medicine, and they have been phenomenal on making sure that my thyroid, my testosterone, progesterone, and overall is optimal. And that's been huge in order for me to be successful in my improvement season as well as in prep. So my levels were good in prep and in off season. So I think that's crucial in order to make sure that you can function properly day to day, but also through a prep. So we are kind of keeping weight at a reasonable amount. Because obviously if you get too high, it's going to be really hard to get off. So making sure my hormones are balanced has helped that stay within balance as well. And right now, we are going to try and build that glute density. And we haven't picked any shows or anything like that. We're just kind of seeing where this improvement season goes for the next however long. And then we will see, if we feel like I have enough density within a certain amount of time, then we'll start prep and kind of go from there. But definitely going to try and get qualified this year. So I do not want to do like show. My
Mhm.
schedule doesn't allow for it, and I don't want to burn myself into the ground before I get into, say, I do qualify like at that last show, and then you're like kind of toast by the time you get to the Olympia,
Mhm.
and you want to be like your best at the Olympia. So,
Yeah.
I think I'll probably do like 2 or 3 shows, maybe 4 if I have to, and then hopefully qualify, and then go to the Olympia.
That's awesome. It sounds like you guys have a really clear plan, and I like that you're taking the time to also express that health being in alignment and all of those markers being measured consistently is obviously supporting you in this because how can you grow from an unhealthy or unrecovered body? And also, you do end up fighting your body a lot if your hormones are off, or if maybe you're not able to get as many nutrients as you should be. And so then you're now fighting being able to get calories up,
Yeah.
gaining weight, and then you've got to prep, and now you're fighting all of
Yeah.
the issues that came from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the higher that you can get your calories, the better in your off season, so that you're not having to die down to like 1,000 calories when you're only like 2 or 3, when you're like 2 months out or something. And it's like extremely hard. So I, like mentioned, I work with Premier Alternative, and we did like a GI map and did all my gut testing. And we're going to go over all of that within, I think, the next like week or so. So I'm super excited to go
That's
over all of
awesome.
that. But before I started with them, I was just working with like a primary care physician, and I wasn't getting what I needed. My levels were all over the place, whether that was while I was in prep or out. And obviously it showed because in 2023, I only did 1 show, and I couldn't even like cut weight for that. Like it was like my body was just fighting and fighting and fighting. And ever since I've worked with Premier, they have been so phenomenal in making sure that I've been in check with everything. And if there is something that's out of balance, they're like, okay, what are we going to do to fix it? How are we going to do this? And give me instruction on how to do it. And I give them a lot of trust because obviously it's shown with my lab work that everything on the inside is working good. And that's how you want to be. And taking care of your health is super important. Even if you're just like you're going to do 1 show, just making sure that like before you start prep, that your body is in balance on the inside, regardless of how you feel on the outside.
That's a great point too. And how would you compare your 2023 prep to your most recent prep then?
So coaching wise, all the same. It was just my thyroid was not in a good place. And that was before I was with Premier and I was just with that other doctor. And they didn't really understand how bodybuilding worked. And so I think if you don't have that understanding, it makes things a little bit challenging when you are prepping and you're like trying to explain to them, what you're doing, and they're just like, well, you probably shouldn't compete because it's going to take a toll on your thyroid or whatnot. But I've had low thyroid for a long time and it kind of came out in 2019. And it took me from 2020 to like 2023, 2024 to actually find a really good doctor that actually was able to help me. It takes a lot of time and patience, but like everything else that we have to do, right?
Yeah. How did you know you had a problem with your thyroid?
I got done with a show and I got back on my meal plan, was doing all my normal things, and I just kept gaining weight regardless of what I was doing. It was before I was with Kim, my current coach. I was with my local coach here in town. And he had a very old school type of meal plan structure of everything. So I didn't have a lot of fats in my diet. I was doing like 2 hours of cardio a day. It was just like very intense. And then when I came out of my show, there was no structure on like meal plan, reverse dieting, like nothing. So I just got back on my meal plan and I kind of started reducing my cardio. But my body just like did a full 180. I put on like 25 to 30 pounds in probably 2 weeks. And my body was just completely fighting me. I had all the symptoms of low thyroid, and it was extremely frustrating to deal with. So I got some lab work done and then come to find out I had low thyroid. I don't know if it was hereditary or if it came out from prep. But obviously I have to monitor that now for the rest of time,
Yeah.
unless everything, unless it stays balanced. But, prep doesn't make it easy sometimes.
That's another really good point because competing is one of those things where I feel like it makes our lifestyle and our habits very healthy, but
Hmm.
then there is this little bit of an insidious side to it. Where like, it's a challenging sport. It's
Yeah.
one that you're never really in a place of just this. Like
Yeah.
even when you're just here, like you said, you're at maintenance calories, but you're pushing for muscle density. There's
Yes.
not, y- there's a lot more
Never
of a
here.
yeah. So that's
We're not
stressful.
just chilling.
Never. So it's like you are put in a position where your health is challenged. And there's times like right now I'm like, am I 8 weeks out? 8.5 weeks out? I don't know. This week went by. I'm like 9 or 8 weeks. I don't even know. I gotta check that. April 5th. But when I look at my diet and my training, I'm like, oh, I'm very healthy. Like compared to the average American, we're healthy. Okay. But it's funny because my husband will be like, you need more variety in your diet. I'm like, what? But he's
I know.
right to some degree.
Yeah.
He is right because it's like when you're following macros or a meal plan, there's a confine, of structure that you have to be able to fit things into. So it's different than just like a lifestyle of healthy
Yes.
nourishment because you're doing it
Absolutely.
for an aesthetic, really.
Yeah, most definitely. And yeah, we have like food nutrition spreadsheets and we can kind of change things up if we want here and there, but like it doesn't have the same variety as if it was just like maintaining a healthy lifestyle. It's
For
definitely a
sure.
different structure.
Yeah, it's not like, okay, on any given day, I can go have a handful of walnuts for
Yeah. A snack.
any, yeah. It's
Yeah,
just
definitely
they're
not.
healthy, but it's not gonna
Yeah.
do it for our, not saying walnuts are bad. I don't want anyone to
No, no,
mishear
walnuts
me.
are so good for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't mishear that. It's just you can't track walnuts and almonds and your peanut butter sometimes all in one day at the low parts of prep.
most definitely. Hmm.
So you did use the word burnout earlier, and I wanted to ask you if you ever felt resistance or burnout because of this? And I would imagine after that year in particular, fighting your body, that maybe there was some, but I could be wrong. So did you ever have any resistance or burnout?
Oh, absolutely. Most
Yeah.
definitely. I would say that I put a lot on my plate just day to day,
Hmm.
and week to week. I kind of always have tried to fill my schedule. And I'm a big planner too. So making sure like on the weekends I have things like in order. There's not a lot of time where I do have like downtime, during the week, like Monday through Friday. I get up, I do fasted cardio, I get ready, I go to my full-time job, where I work for the Department of Wildlife. And then I get off at 5. I go straight to the gym, do my training, go home, get ready for bed, start all over again. And that's Monday through Friday. And then on this Saturday and Sundays, I go on my posing clients, my own training, meal prepping, laundry, all the normal things that we have to do. And sometimes when I have events and that kind of thing, it does take a toll if I am like deep in prep and I don't have maybe a lot of energy, or I'm just tired and I need like more sleep. But I think as time has gone on, I've really structured and prioritized self-care. So whether that's like massages, um, walks, like little things with like my family, doing church, things that like make me feel at peace, or even just like alone time. I love being alone. And it's not like I like to push people away or anything like that, but it's just like it's a way for me to recharge, because when I'm at work, I'm constantly engaging with people. And then when I get home, I just want to like decompress. And that's where I can do that, like on the weekends where I can sleep in a little bit more here and there. But burnout is definitely real. And if you are feeling that way, it's good to, talk to someone, communicate that with them so that they can maybe help you, or do things that give you a lot of happiness and peace, so that you can like mentally recharge, or physically too.
So you've recognized or understood and learned over time what you need to recharge and reconnect with yourself and feel physically and mentally better. And that took time and different
Absolutely.
phases of your life. Um, yeah, you're obviously a really busy woman. And if this is like an off limits question, just tell me. But like, is dating hard for you?
Girl, it's so hard.
I would imagine.
Yeah. Not an off limits question, obviously. Totally an open book here. But I would say it's definitely been a challenge. I've tried to date competitors, here and there, like one or two, or someone in my town. But where I live is like, it's very close knit. And I grew up here, so I know a lot of people. And I feel like that makes it a little bit challenging too, in a way. But because my life is really structured, it does make dating a little bit tough. And also finding someone that supports bodybuilding is not easy, or kind of like, like it's not even just like understanding. I don't care if you like don't understand the whole thing, but if you can like support it, that's super important for me, because it's a passion that I love. And if I don't have that support, like it's going to be really hard. And, you know, I think people my age too, or our age, it's hard to date people our age because they're still like going out and partying, or like wanting to go out to the bars, and like we don't really drink or we don't really go out, and that's not really not our lifestyle. And so finding people that have similar hobbies and lifestyles, um, is tough too.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that it's difficult as a successful driven woman in general, but then you add on top of that like bodybuilding and running your own business while also managing a full-time job, and you travel for you're an incredible catch and anyone would be lucky to have you, but not everybody would deserve you, you know? So I see why that would be challenging. I experienced it. But
Yeah.
I married someone who's 42, so I didn't have
Nothing
to,
wrong with that.
right?
Nothing
Like,
wrong with that whatsoever.
yeah, like not my age, but I never dated
They're
people
more
my age.
mature, just a
Yeah.
little bit, but
Yeah. You're like, don't give them too much credit, but
yeah.
like, yeah, and that's something that I think as also a woman of faith plays a role in it too, because there's a lot to it. So, your interests though are very diverse, and that's
Yeah.
something that I think is so cool about you because um you obviously have passion for this sport, but you
Mhm.
also like to travel and you post photos of you hiking or in the snow or you're doing things outside of this. And I'm curious what types of things really light you up or you're passionate about, or maybe other dreams you might have outside of this.
Yeah. So I grew up hunting with my grandpa. That's something that not a lot of people know because I don't really post a whole lot about it. Maybe I'll post a story or something about it here and there. But I don't really post a lot about it like on my page. But I'm very passionate about wildlife and hunting and being outdoors. So I actually work for the Department of Wildlife, and it's been very fun, and I'm absolutely love it. My grandpa got me into that passion, and so now I can go out and do those things with him. And my stepdad does it with me as well now. And so it's memories that I can have outside of bodybuilding where we're traveling around the state, glassing, seeing wildlife, going on hikes, and creating those memories with my family is super important to me. And it's super fun too. I absolutely love it. It's a huge adrenaline rush. Sometimes we're not always successful, but here in Nevada, it's like a draw system for hunting.
Mhm.
So you have to apply for a certain like species, area, and season, and then you get drawn. Maybe you're successful, maybe you're not. It's kind of like the lottery. So every year is different, and you have like waiting periods. There's so many different things that kind of go into it. But it's been super fun. So I love to be outdoors. And, every year I go out with my parents and we cut down a Christmas tree. And like I'm very close with my parents and do a lot of things with them. And I love to go to church and I love to spend time with my family and my friends here. I take my dog for a little walk here and there. So yeah, I do a lot of different things, but I think that's what makes me so unique in that aspect of I don't just have like bodybuilding. I have a whole different side of me too.
Yes, that's why I wanted to shine light on that because
Yeah.
you are so successful in the bodybuilding world and people know who you are. And then there's this version of you outside of that that's so diverse as well. And I think
Yeah.
that you're dy what's the word? You're dynamic. And
Mhm.
I think because of that, you're able to likely experience more success. I mean, you already like just being an active person in general.
Yeah.
Like hunting's no joke, and doing these things that
Yeah.
you enjoy. That's an active passion. So I think it's really cool too that you're so close with your family and that your grandpa got you into hunting and hunting can be wildly misunderstood and someone might be listening and going, "Well, how do you love wildlife but
If you,
hunt?" You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Someone might be thinking that. So, what would you tell them?
It's a way for us to balance the numbers of species that we have within the state. So it's not just about like killing an animal. We are feeding families, doing that kind of stuff. But it's also about balancing, the numbers of animals within the state and making sure that there aren't too many predators in the state and kind of balancing it all. So it's just a way to balance it all. It's super passionate. Everyone does it, but we do it in a way that it's safe and we're not hurting the animal in any way. And if we do, we try and make sure that we get rid of their pain as quickly as possible and really take good care of the animal as well. I mean, the only, if you look back to years and years and years ago when all you had was to go out and hunt. You didn't
Yes.
have grocery stores, you didn't have that ability. So I think that if we still carried on that tradition, I think that it's super important.
I agree. I mean, I buy my chicken at the grocery store. I buy, turkey. I
Yeah,
buy
I still do
beef.
too. But
Yeah, but I'm like, I also think that there's incredible value in what you do. And we need those types of skills as well. And I really admire that that's something you're able to do. Now, do you have a favorite type? Like, do you have a favorite animal that you've ever got or a favorite way to hunt?
yes, favorite species, I would say would be mule deer.
Hmm.
So in Nevada we have mule deer, but there's all different types of deer within the country. So different states have different types of mule deer. I really like antelope as well, but elk is really amazing too. All of them taste very good. But antelope is really hard. Like I had an antelope hunt not last year, but the year before, and it was probably one of my hardest hunts because they're so quick.
Oh,
And yeah, you wouldn't have expected that, but they're really quick. They're really fast. They're like little cheetahs and they just go and they're so fast and they can spot you from miles away. So
really?
deer are a little bit I would say not as aware
Hmm.
when it comes to that kind of stuff. But normally I just go with my grandpa, my stepdad, and then my one friend, Mitch. And my mom stays at home. Sometimes she'll come. She loves to hunt as well, but it's kind of funny because I always say that she's like my bad luck when it comes to hunting. So anytime she comes, I don't get anything. So I'm like, okay, you need to stay home. But when it comes to shows, it's like the complete opposite. So normally she'll just stay home. She'll stay with my little dog Lainey and it's fine. But yeah, my stepdad, my grandpa, and then my friend Mitch, and we all go out and we'll hike around, we'll truck hunt, we'll do a lot of different things. But I think the skills of being able to um, hunt is really important and being able to like build a fire, do all of that kind of stuff that you don't normally think about on the day to day is are good skills to have just in life because you never know like how things may go.
Is this a passion that like in your free time you'll watch videos or read about? Or is it one of those where you just get out there and you do it and it comes to you as you remember?
It comes pretty naturally, I would say. Before I go out for a hunt, I probably scout just a little bit for a couple of days, not always. And then I'll go to the gun range and shoot my rifle a couple of times, and then I'm pretty good. But with that, like I'm in the works of the same passion on my day to day. So like I'm
Good
kind of
point.
surrounded by it already, so I kind of don't have to really think about it when I go out there.
Because it's part of like your day-to-day conversation and
Yeah,
focus. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I just think it's so amazing. I'm really inspired and I admire that about you so much. That's something I wish that I had been taught and given energy to, I wasn't raised to be able to go do that. I mean, I would go visit my uncle and grandpa on their farm and shoot but we never went hunting. And
yeah.
my husband hunts and I'm like, this is really exciting
Eh,
because now hopefully he can teach me. And so,
He will.
yeah, I'm just like, I've been his little, well, see, we literally went out the last day of the season
Yeah.
and it was fun. I just followed him around and like it was I was like,
Ew.
this is so relaxing and peaceful. Like once you get settled too and you actually can hear the woods, it's like, wow,
It's amazing. Yeah, it's
I want
very
to do more.
peaceful.
Yeah, I'd love to do more and learn. So I'm
You
hopeful
should.
you'll teach
Yeah,
me.
and everyone does it like so differently too. So there's like so many ways that you can do it. Like a lot of people will backpack, some people will truck hunt, some people will camp out. Like there's so many different ways of like how you can actually hunt, but it's really up to you on how you want to make that hunt be fun and successful and memorable for you, which is kind of cool. But we still follow all the same rules and regulations.
Makes sense. Now, did you like do you go on long like days and days and days worth, or do you go back and forth from your home?
So it depends on where my hunts are. I would
Mhm.
say a couple of years ago when I had the antelope hunt, it was only 3 hours away. But there was like a little camp area, probably like 30 minutes from where my spot was. So we all just stayed there. And then there's other parts of Nevada that I've hunted that are like 7 hours away. So we'll stay in like a camper or scenario like that. Majority of the time, we don't come back home until like we're successful, but it'll be roughly like probably max like 6 days. Because once you get to like 6 days, you're kind of like tapped out. You need to like get back home, recharge, like get all the jitters out, and then like go out again, get your mind right. Because sometimes it's a mind game too. Like you have that success part where you get that like adrenaline, like it's called like buck fever. Once you see a buck, you get all this adrenaline and like you start shaking and get nervous. And then say you miss or like don't get the shot right. That'll happen quite a bit. And hunting's not an easy sport either. And so, having to be patient with yourself and that and just like being like, okay, that's fine, it's fine. Like we'll move on, we'll go on to the next and like just like take it with a grain of salt and then move on to the next part. And if you're not successful, like, for those 3 or 4 days, it's good to just like get back home, kind of see where you're at mentally, get in the right mindset, and then go back out again if you can.
How do you navigate that with workouts and nutrition?
I do bring all my food majority of the time.
Okay.
Yeah. But we do lots of hiking. So, I mean, that's kind
hmm
of the only avenue that you can go. A lot of places like in the middle of nowhere aren't going to have gyms. So I have yet to do a hunting season where I was in prep. Majority of the time I was in my off season. So I was just like, okay, just bring my food and I'll go on hikes and I'll be fine.
That's perfect.
And a couple days off from training isn't gonna hurt you.
Yeah, it's probably gonna help.
Yeah, exactly. Plus you get to be out in the sun, you get that vitamin D, you get to be peaceful, you don't have any other stress about like work, anything like that. Your phone is kind of off. So it's kind of like a good way to get your mind right and get like checked out as well from like reality.
That's amazing. Well, I think like I said, it's phenomenal that you have that and that you shared that with us too.
Yeah.
I hope it inspires other people as well. And something I also wanted to just go kind of back to as far as your own journey goes. You have had a lot of opportunities secured through your career in competing, sponsorships and partnerships and speaking engagements or opportunities like that. What has helped you to do that, or how would you encourage someone who would like to have those opportunities to get out there and achieve them?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor to represent quite the variety of different companies that I work with. I am very blessed for that. It's definitely taken time though. Obviously, I didn't get sponsored with some companies for quite some time, but I think marketing yourself and promoting yourself in a positive, genuine way on social media definitely helps. The connections that you build with, the company, the owners, other athletes that are maybe ambassadors or athletes of that company, will definitely help. Um, and putting yourself out there, offering to help at seminars or offering to do little things to help that company, I think will put you, set you apart from others. It's not always about like what you can get, it's what you can give. And I think that that's super important because, a lot of, I think athletes look at like, oh, you can be an ambassador, but like, what am I getting out of this? But like, it's really like, what are you doing for them that's going to help them grow as well? And like the teamwork and collaboration that you guys can do and build together as a company with that company is going to be super important. So like creating those relationships, putting yourself out there. I'm pretty shy as it is, but I do like to help others and be involved with others' journeys to make them be successful and whatever they want to do. So if I can be a light in their journey, I definitely want to be that and helping others to make sure that they feel passionate and safe in the environment that they're at is super important. Um, but I think being a genuine person and being who you are is really what's going to make it happen. You have to follow the structure that the company wants, obviously, but representing them well in a positive way and respectful way, being respectful to them is going to be crucial. They want athletes that are going to be positive, genuine, respectful, representing their company, and that's going to be a big factor in that.
For sure. At the end of the day, these are businesses. Like
Hmm.
they are coming to you with the hope and intention that you will help their business to grow and do so organically and
Yeah.
naturally, not like, well, I just wanted a deal or a sponsorship, therefore.
Yeah.
I really, and I think a lot of times it's easier to do early on in your journey to fall into like, well, I'll become this and I'll take on this, I'll take on this.
Yeah.
But in my experience, the most fruitful and the most fulfilling ones are the ones that have been companies I've already enjoyed, or which,
Hmm.
if now, if a company comes to me, I'm like, I will not promote you until I try whatever it is. Because either way, I mean, in the past, I was already purchasing it.
Right.
Um, so now if they come, I'm like, I gotta try this before I even encourage anyone to enjoy it
Mhm.
with me. So I do think that that's important, like you said, to be genuine and be yourself and think about giving to them and knowing it's because you really want to see I think also looking at it as a business and being a small business owner myself, like I look at it and I'm like, I want to help them
Yeah.
grow too, and we can grow together and collaboratively. So
Mhm.
putting yourself out there, I love that advice of also offering to help. Um, and I think being willing to say no when it doesn't align is really important because then the right
Yeah.
one will, or doesn't align anymore, because then the right one will come.
Yeah, absolutely. Making sure that you really mesh with that company and you guys have the same values is really important, I would say, because it's not just about like, oh, yeah, I get to represent whatever company it is, but like, so you don't even use their products. Like, yeah, what do you even like? Why are you even doing it at that point? Like, so really being able to like market yourself in that way of like actually using the supplements that they have or the clothing or the food, whatever it is. Because people are going to look at your social media or whatever it is and trust you on that. And if you're not even actually using what it is, it's kind of like false marketing.
I want to represent companies that even if they cut me out of the deal, I would still want to be representative
Mhm.
of it. Like I used to be a partner with this clothing brand and I still wear them and I would still buy from them. And then yeah, I just think that's important. So let's
Definitely.
talk about your posing because you said you really like to help others and be a light and support them in their journey. First of all, what even inspired you to coach others in posing, and how much of your own personal transformation maybe inspires you or comes into play when you are coaching someone?
Yeah, so when I was doing cheer, I was always A leader and always looked at as someone that could help others learn whatever the skill it is, whatever move it is. So I always had, I feel like that on the inside of me. And my grandma was always a dancer too. So I took that, passion from her too. And I think I really enjoy being able to support others, help others, and make their journey better. I wanted to start doing posing here in like my local town, because there wasn't really any posing coaches in the area. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to do that. I felt like I had a good amount of knowledge to do that in person. And then I had a friend that started creating websites, and he wanted to take me on as like his first kind of client to try it out. And so we went through tons of trial and errors on like how we wanted to do it, manage it, and he helped me kind of create an amazing website. And I'm able to promote the companies that I work with on there. And then, clients are able to reach out and do it virtually or in person. And it's been an amazing opportunity that's kind of like taken off from there. So I'm able to work with different teams, different coaches, and my coach, he's helped kind of promote that as well on his website and then on social media, that like I'm one of his like verified posing coaches. And I've just taken a lot of the knowledge and experience that I've had over the years to express that throughout my coaching.
I think that's really amazing to be able to support athletes in their journey and also have a coach say, yep, this is the person or this is a person you can trust with building your routine is or your whole presentation and look on stage is a big deal. So, what are some of the maybe overlooked components of bringing a full package to the stage that you want to see and would like more athletes to understand?
So I guess when it comes to like posing, being confident in yourself, that's like going to be one of the biggest things that judges are going to see. Whether you brought like a phenomenal package and you don't have that confidence, they're going to notice. And there's definitely times where I've felt that on my own, in my own self, being on stage, maybe my package wasn't as great as I wanted it to be, or maybe it was, and I just didn't have like, I wasn't in the right mindset at that time, and my confidence wasn't there. And it shows in your whole entire presentation, how your mood is on stage, when you come off stage, and the judges can feel that. And I think that that's something that really takes time and practice to do. So, the more comfortable you are on stage, the more comfortable you're going to be in your own self as well, and bring out that confidence. Obviously, like the hair, the makeup, the tan, that'll take time to figure out like what looks best on you. But I like to kind of help girls figure out, suit colors and makeup ideas and hair, that fits them to bring out their own personality and make them shine.
Because if all of that is put together well, they'll feel
Mhm.
more confident too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What are some of the things that when you're directing an athlete in their posing, but also in their full presentation, like having that confidence and showing who they are. What are some of the things that you do to help someone to know that? Because some people don't even come from a performance background, so they're like, I don't know who I am on stage or how to show that. So how do you help maybe bring that out of somebody?
So obviously advising to practice their posing as much as they can so that they do feel comfortable in doing those poses. Because I feel like if they're not comfortable in how to do the poses, then that confidence isn't going to come through. Um, Being confident in their physical, on how they look, is going to be super important. And then how they are mentally. So whatever that they need to do to get their mind right, I tell them, focus on those things, and all of that's going to come together at the perfect time, and you're going to be perfect on stage. But obviously, sometimes we never know like what type of music we're going to get on stage. So I'm like, practice a variety of different types of music when you're doing it at home, so that you can kind of get a rhythm for your own self and kind of bring out your own personality when you do that presentation.
That's a great point. Like practicing to different music, and I have found like it was kind of funny. I would always practice to Buttons by Pussycat Dolls.
Oh my
Um
God. That's awesome.
I like didn't realize how much my poses like aligned with
Pop.
that song.
Yeah.
Like that when I watched this video and I was making a reel before, like after I did North Americas, and I put that song over it. I was like, oh my
Oh my God.
gosh, it like sings with it. But there was the benefit of that was like I had a consistent like timing, but
Yeah.
then there was also like I would put on random like Latin music playlists because I wouldn't know a lot of the lyrics sometimes, or
Mhm.
be in Spanish. So I'm like, I don't know what I
I love
couldn't
it.
repeat it, but I can actually like pay attention to the music and the vibe is high. But I love that advice to listen to like really put yourself in a position where maybe you can't rely on the music if you generally
Mhm.
find yourself trying to rely on it.
Yeah. Because like you might put on music that you like really vibe with, and then you'll feel like super good when you do your posing. But then like when you get on stage, so you don't have that, and then you're gonna get completely thrown off. So always changing up your music so that you can feel comfortable in anything and any atmosphere that you get.
I think the only senses I still have on stage when I actually go is like I can feel my skin and I can feel my body shaking if I get nervous, like those,
Yeah,
and everything feels
totally
amplified.
happens. Yeah.
But like I can't hear anymore, and I
No.
can barely see. I mean, I can see, but you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
It's
Like,
so different. The lights are so bright. You're like, where am I? I can't see anyone. You can see the judges, maybe. But I kind of like it that way.
yeah. Oh, I seriously, I love when you get out there and like all the lights are blocking like everything.
Yes.
It's just the judging table and like a couple of the shadows and the
Hmm.
distance are on the side. Like
So much
it's
better.
yeah, it's fun. You almost feel like you're in this like zoomed in story of your life. I don't know. That's a
Yeah.
weird way of putting it, but
Almost complete spotlight. Yeah.
yes. Yes, absolutely. So now, as far as like the posing goes, are you building your own routine for like, do you build your own routine for your pro shows? And okay, you do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a little studio that I rent out in my town. That's where I do all my local, like in person clients. So it has a full length mirrors, little lights up top. It's really cute in there, and it's private. Not a lot of people go in there. I can rent it out whenever I want, and it's very convenient to do. But I'll do all my posing normally in there. Like I'll do my check-ins and stuff at home, but I'll practice my own posing in there where I can, turn the music on, be in my own element, and kind of mess around with like what I think is looking good, what I think I should change, based on how my body's evolving too. Also, I include my mom in it, and I let her kind of help build my routine as well. And we're like, okay, we want to do something different. We want to look a little different here. We want to change the facial structures as well, not structures, facial expressions,
Hmm.
while we're doing things. And I think it adds different elements to your posing routine and brings out like your own self when you're doing your routine.
Your
Yeah,
mom is a cheer mom for life.
she
She,
is for
she,
sure.
that's her, that is her calling.
It is.
And you're always gonna be, well, maybe not always, but it doesn't seem like you're planning to stop competing anytime soon.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I don't know what that's going to look like. Obviously, I want to get to the Olympia and go from there. But I do eventually, want to start a family and have children and be able to focus my life on them and then create like a balanced, healthy lifestyle for myself, while giving them my support. I don't foresee myself competing as a mom, just because I've felt like I've got that kind of done throughout my
Mhm.
younger years. So I kind of want to change the focus of my life when that time does come.
That's exactly how I feel. I'm
Yeah.
like, honestly, I think after this season, that's what I'm gonna be transitioning to. And I feel the same way. I'm like, yeah, and I don't want to say never, never say never. I don't
Never.
want to be like, I'll never compete, but like
Yeah.
you, I'm like, I don't know if I see that after this phase, I just don't know. But like you said, like to apply the principles I've gained from bodybuilding to that and to
Yeah.
still be able to give to the industry and support the
Mhm.
industry, but yeah, but maybe not be on stage is really how I see that too.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I'm still super passionate about it, of course. So I would definitely, like you said, be involved. I just don't know if it would be on stage.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear that too, because I love hearing the perspective of different women and how maybe they foresee it, especially when they started at the age we did.
Yeah. So you,
Um,
mhm.
it's a different outlook for
Yeah.
sure. A lot of people started after they had children, so they see
Yeah.
it in a completely different way. So, the perspective
Mhm.
is awesome.
Yeah, it's really neat.
So, I want to get your best advice now. What would be your best advice for somebody who has never competed before but wants to, and then your best advice for somebody who is on their road to pro?
Patience. Always have patience with yourself. Um, Obviously, there's so many factors that go into it. But if you can create a good support system and really choose a coach that is meant for you, that's going to make you be so successful because there's so many amazing coaches out there, but some that you're going to mesh well with others. And if you do your research on them, do consultations with multiple and get a vibe for, how they do it if you mesh well with them. And that's going to be like key to your success in that. Really do your research on the sport itself, taking care of yourself while you're in prep, and checking off all the boxes to make sure that you can do it financially as well. Not being, don't get yourself into a pit of disaster if you can't afford it, and don't try and push it if it's too much. So always, listening to yourself and your body in that aspect. If you are trying to go pro, know that sometimes you might get it in the first try. Sometimes it's going to take years. So be mindful of that and be positive about it. Being patient and charismatic with yourself and others around you is going to be really key.
I love that. That's such good advice. And how can people follow your journey, connect with you, and work with you?
So I have my Instagram. It's Hope_IFBB Pro. I have my own website, hopebikinipro.com. That is my posing website where you can do in person or virtual posing sessions with me. I have all of my companies on there as well, majority of them, but a lot of them are on my Instagram and Facebook too. You can always email me or message me on Instagram. I'm happy to help you with anything and everything.
Amazing. We will put that in the show notes page. So that is on celestial.fit/podcast. Not only will you see how you can connect and work with Hope, as well as myself, but you will also see a full episode summary, kind of like what you'd find on the back of the books if you want to tell somebody about it, but you don't know how to describe its awesomeness. That's a good way to do that. And then there's also going to be a bulleted list of the topics we covered and episode timestamps. So you can go back and listen to your favorite parts of the episode or give someone a timestamp and say, you got to listen to this part. It definitely goes a long way for the show and for the athletes when you share it. They come on here courageously, even when nervous, to share and talk about things that we don't always post online or we don't always talk about otherwise. So, thank you guys in advance for tagging us as you listen or sharing with a friend, teammate, family member. It really does mean a lot. And all that being said, Hope, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so, so much. It has been an amazing day working with you, and I am super excited to hear it all come together.
Yes, me too. And right back at you. It's my pleasure. And to everybody listening, I hope y'all have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode. Just make it awesome.